Okay, I'm freaking out a little bit. We're on the way home in my new R32 GTR. She has just a boatload of problems, including there's no radio, the air conditioning doesn't work, the transmission is not great in fourth, and there's no air conditioning. I say that, and the driver's side window doesn't go down. So this begins a 2.5 hour drive home, and I'm freaking out. I own a Nissan GTR. So there's my day. That's how it's going. There aren't any. Here goes fourth. Okay, it didn't make any bad noises. I'm really intimidated by fourth right now. The turbo doesn't hit till like $5,000, and it hits pretty hard, but Chris, the guy who helped me come pick up this car today, was like, yeah, it's burning a lot of oil. So we already thought the turbo seals might be going, and that's probably what it is. This car was leak down tested, and it was fine, so it's not the rings, or at least we don't think it's the rings. And yeah, I'm freaking out. I am absolutely 100% internally freaking out. So here we go. Let's go home. What's going on, everybody? As you can see, I bought a car. So the car that I bought is a Nissan Skyline GTR, and it was made in 1990, so it is an R32 GTR. This car has a pretty interesting history. It was modified in Japan, and then it was imported to the States in like 2017 or 2018, something like that. And it seems like it's been running around, getting a little bit neglected since then. So I wanted to walk you guys through some of the stuff that I learned about it so far. There's obviously going to be more, and we're going to learn more as we get into it. But so at some point in this car's life, it had the Nismo hood lip. It was beautiful, I'm sure. And it's currently missing the front grille as well, and we're looking at that. And then this looks like it's the Nismo front bumper, but you can see that this one is missing its vent. So the vents on these are normally this big, and it looks like the previous owner wanted more air, so they made these like additional little clips and cut it out. But one of the previous owners, this one fell out and got run over, so it's destroyed. So my best guess is that if I'm going to keep this bumper, I'm just going to have to 3D print a thing that fits in here, and then I'll undo this like halvesies one and do like one collective thing. You can see here that normally there's a mesh grill here, but the intercooler this truss intercooler that was installed on this car kind of removed the mesh grill. So it's got a massive old intercooler here. And you'll notice that this side has the vents intact like they're supposed to be, but this side does not. So there is an oil cooler that's behind this. It's clearly was just like a custom job. It doesn't have names on it, but at least it's AN lines all the way through. And the brake ducts look like they still go towards the brakes, or the cooling ducts, I mean, so that's cool. And inside the engine bay, we have our party piece here. So as you can see, it is now a single turbo. It's no longer a twin turbo. The single turbo is a Greddy T8834B. It is massive. It's too big, if I'm honest with you. But anyway, and you can see that we're missing the stock intakes. I don't know where they went, but they're gone. So I got to get some right intakes because these guys don't fit. And the previous owner just put them on so he could drive the car home. It has R35 coils and the Platinum Racing PRP, Platinum Racing Products, I think, conversion kit to run R35 coils. And what else? So the whole turbo system is a trussed Greddy turbo system from the turbo back. And then it has some HKS intercooler pipes that lead into the intercooler and then out on the other side. And then it's a Greddy intake manifold. It has an HKS Cam and HKS Cam adjustable sprocket. So that's all cool. I don't know the timing intervals on the belts. It has a Yashio factory sticker on the radiator, so that's cool for what it's worth. It has a wonderful oil filter relocation kit. I know Tommy F, yeah, just doesn't like these. I don't know, at this point, at least it's bracketed down and super hot. And obviously they deleted the battery mount or the battery holder and placed it with a piece of aluminum. And then it's got some nice Japanese finishing bolts, which I know are a huge deal there. And I don't mind them. I don't love them, but I don't mind them. But this car's got a fair amount of issues. Right now, the air conditioning is leaking, for one thing, so the air conditioning doesn't work. The previous owner charged it. It worked for a couple days and then stopped, so it's got a leak somewhere. And that's all I really am going to say about the engine bay right now. It runs and drives. So let's go check out the interior and see how that looks. So inside, we can see that we have some classic Japanese gauges in here. So we have exhaust temp, oil pressure, and oil temperature, and they all appear to be functional. The exhaust temp, you can follow the thermocouple all the way to the exit of the exhaust manifold and the intake of the turbo, so that seems like it's in the right spot. The oil pressure and the oil temperature are both run to that oil filter that you guys saw in the last video. And then this is an APEXI Boost Gauge. And I also forgot this is on an Apexi Power FC with an APEXI Boost controller as well. So there's that. And then the AFR gauge currently doesn't work, but the ECU is getting good AFR signal, so the gauge is just broken. It's got a MOMO steering wheel, which is not stock. And then obviously it's got this cage. I believe it's a Cusco cage, but I kind of forget. But it's very cool. It's a little bit close. You haven't seen me in here with my helmet, but we're gonna have to do something about it because my helmet's pretty darn close to it. But if you look around, you'll notice it's really pretty clean in here. I know it's hard to see. I'm kind of a fan of how they integrated the cage into the seats, so it kind of tucks in there. Like, it looks a little bit jank back here, but overall, I mean, it certainly looks cool. Yeah, and then I don't know if you can see, but here, I'll hop out really quick, but the seats are in, the driver's seat and the passenger seat are in really great shape. So you'll also notice, in addition to my fancy Japanese gauges, that the aircon is in the wrong spot and that there's no head unit at all. When I bought the car, it had no head unit. When it was imported from Japan, it had no head unit. So we're gonna have to work on that. It looks like, as best as I can tell, the majority of the wires are here, and it looks like they were all actually like quick disconnects. So someone appropriately removed it instead of just cutting everything out, which is nice. And you can see this little panel here isn't perfectly attached because of how they mounted these gauges. Not really sure how I feel about that. It really depends how much money I have, what I'm going to do about it. And I don't have that much money, so you never know. And then you'll notice the vents are kind of wrecked. There were 2 cup holders, and I put them in the garage, but there were dual cup holders here, which is why those vents are pretty wrecked. And yeah, also it's missing all the speakers all the way around, but I've had the doors off now. You'll see it in a video, and they also have quick disconnects on them. So somebody was in here at some point putting nice speakers in, and then when they went to sell it, they took the nice speakers out. And don't forget, I have the characteristic dash bubble here that you see on almost all of them. I know you can just puncture it and push it back down, but for right now, I'm just going to leave it. And this driver's seat squeaks. And I am going to figure out where this comes from because it's obnoxious. It's super annoying.
Yeah, it's been going.
Okay. So you'll also notice, if you looked at the exterior, that there aren't a lot of badges out there. That's because all the badges were removed when the car was being repainted. The car was painted inside this when it got to the States. Well, it was painted after it got to the States by one of the owners. Anyway, but I have what looks like all the badges, including the badge for the hood, the badges for the fenders, etc. So it looks, and of course the Nissan badges in here too. So it looks like I have all the necessary badges, but I haven't put them in yet. It's gonna be a later project. I want to sort out some of the other stuff about the exterior before I work on putting the badges on. So I just wanted you guys to see how good of a shape the seats are in. I was really impressed with how clean they are. This car has about 76,000 Ks on it, so think like 46,000 miles-ish. but I just thought they were in really great shape, and I was really happy about that. A lot of them are all torn up, and they have wear right here where the seatbelt passes. So just overall, I'm very happy with how the seats look. The back seats aren't as clean, but they're still pretty clean for what it is, and you know, they're still intact with the cage, so all of those things are awesome, and I'm really happy about it. So now that we're at the back of my GTR, we can see that I have a rear windshield wiper. I know it's really common to delete these. I can't tell you
to
yet.
delete them.
I couldn't tell you yet if it's a good thing or a bad thing that I have one, but I do. Also, you'll notice there is a lack of spoiler. I have one. It's a little bit wrecked. It needs repainted, but I have a spoiler. But you also notice that it has these 2 additional holes here. These 4 holes are for mounting the spoiler, and these 2 holes are for mounting the trunk lid lip. That was also a Nismo like N1 package thing. So I will eventually get that too. And right now these holes are taped off so water doesn't get in, but this thing's parked inside anyway, and I'm not currently driving it in the rain, so it should be all good. And when we look in the trunk of my Skyline, you can see nothing. There's nothing in here. Sorry, there's no big reveal. It's just a trunk. There's nothing in it. So down here we can see that we have some, I'm gonna say original from Japan, AVS wheels. They are 18 by 5 by 114.3 with an offset of like plus 10 or something. I'll have to look. But they clear in the front these big AP Racing brakes, which are on the front. The brakes in the back are stock, but these are massive. And they're really squeaky. Because they're race brakes, so it's kind of funny. I mean, it's very cool that I have race brakes, and I'm sure they stop great, but right now we're not doing anything like that. We're just trying to drive it, so. But anyway, the tires on it are kind of junk, and they need replaced, and that's a problem for later after we get a bunch of other things resolved. So now it's time to talk about all of the problems with my R32 GTR. Okay, there's a bunch. I'm gonna be honest. There's a whole bunch of stuff wrong with this car. On the short list is the AC is leaking. The driver's side window didn't go up. Actually, it didn't go down. It would go up. The transmission grinded when it went into fourth. Third was fine though. And what I've learned about GTR so far is that the third gear is the weak one, and the fourth gear is just whatever. So. In addition to that, it doesn't seem to run right at high RPMs. It doesn't seem to boost right. I've been trying to diagnose if it's a boost leak or a fuel cut or what's causing it not to run right, but basically she doesn't boost right. Right now she's only boosting to half a bar, which I think is like 7 or 8 PSI if you do the conversion, which is nothing. I've seen a video of this car when it was first imported to the States, and you can see the boost gauge go to 1.5 bar. So 3 times as much as it's going to now. Now, it does have an electronic boost controller in it, so it could be the boost controller just limiting it, which is what it looks like, right? But another flaw of this car, in my opinion, is that it has an APEXI FC. So, if you don't know what that is, because I didn't know what that was until I bought this car, is it has an aftermarket ECU, which is fine, given how modified it is, and it comes with this baby. Oh yeah. So this baby doesn't have any like remote data logging capabilities at all. So all you can do is look at this little screen and try to figure out what's going on. So for example, I was trying to figure out if AFR was functional because the gauge up here doesn't work, and it's just incredibly difficult to get valid data out of it. So I would say that's a flaw of this car, and it's also going to be pretty hard to have somebody tune it in the States with that as the only like logging source other than a dyno or whatever you hook up to it. Other flaws, some of the window trim is not perfect. You know, some of it's rotting away. It is what it is. It's just something that I'm gonna have to fix. I've already went over what's missing from the front and what's missing from the rear, and all the badges are missing. Well, they're not missing, but they're not on the car, so I gotta fix that too. I'm gonna have to do something about the cage, because I can't drive with a helmet on with the cage like it is. I at least need to put protective cushioning on it. At the bare minimum, it needs protective cushioning. And I may have to lower the driver's seat a little bit so that I can drive it. Because my goal for this car, I haven't got to that yet, my goal for this car is for this car to be my autocross and track car. So it's gonna need a smaller turbo because that turbo doesn't hit until 5,500 RPM. And like, it is literally a naturally aspirated RB26 all the way until 5,500 RPM. And you're just not gonna, it doesn't work as an autocross car. It only works as a drag car or a highway cruiser or impress your friends with loud noises car. And it's very fast, but it's very fast for a very short amount of time. So that's another thing that's gonna need to change. What else? Okay, so welcome to the board of everything that's wrong with my R32 GTR. There's a lot of stuff, as you can see. Some of these items have already been checked off. I made videos about everything that I did so far, so you'll get to see all of those, and then you'll probably get to see a video for everything else that's wrong. The list is very long. There's a leak in the air conditioning. I think I said it before, but the previous owner recharged the system and the air conditioning worked and then stopped. So as long as that's true, I just have a leak, which is great. I wrote boost leak up here because that's what I thought the problem was. I have since taken apart the whole pressurized side of the system and I wasn't able to find anything that looked like a destroyed coupler or something, but I haven't built a boost leak tester yet because I don't have an air compressor, so that's on the list. But the spoiler install, you've seen that. The GTR badge, I want to put that on because I'm petty. The window relay I already fixed, so the driver's side window goes up and down now. Turbo rebuild, I don't know if this is necessary now. You'll see in the videos that I haven't really found any evidence of where oil is being burnt, but apparently this car was burning oil. So we still need to troubleshoot that. Transmission fluid change. I told you guys in the previous segment that the transmission was grinding when it went into fourth and it was just really hard to shift in general. So the first thing I wanted to do for that was change the trans fluid. There will be a whole video on that, so watch out for that. But I crossed out trans rebuild because after doing the fluid change, she drives a lot better. She no longer grinds going into fourth, and there were no sparkly bits. There was no sparkly bits in the transmission fluid. So all of these things are good and led me to believe that the transmission for right now is probably fine. As you saw, there is no radio in the car. Eventually, I'd like to listen to music in the car at the bare minimum, so I need to put a radio in it. The intake filters, as you saw, are not the correct filters. They don't fit right. I have an HKS intake system. I should probably just order some HKS filters. Speakers, there are no speakers in the car. I already said that. They were removed. Again, it doesn't look like the previous owner cut them out. It looks like the previous owner did the right thing and had some like quick disconnect cables. So I should be able to put those back in. The seat is super squeaky. It's annoying as heck. I need to fix it. Key. The key is not a GTR key. It is a screwdriver. So I'm a child and I want a GTR key, so I'm gonna get one. N1 hood lip. So this is, I already showed you, it's missing the hood lip and it looks dumb because it's got holes in the hood, so probably gonna fix that. Peel stickers. I want to take the Montu motor stickers off. If you know about importing cars from Japan, Montu Motors is not exactly on the like up and up for good importers. So this car was imported a long time ago, like 3 years ago at this point. So I can't vouch for if they were shitty then, but I just don't want to advertise for a company that I know has screwed other people over. Trunklet spoiler, I already talked about this. I don't have one, I want one. I don't want holes in the trunk so water can get in, and I don't like the jank I taped it off fix. License and insure. I need to make a video about this. It's been a process. There's a problem with the title, and insuring this car is incredibly expensive. So we'll talk about that. Center vent. If you saw my interior video earlier, you saw that the center vent's all wrecked. It doesn't really matter until the air conditioning works, but I want to fix that eventually. The N1 bumper vent, I also talked about that. On the front bumper, there are those two vents in the front. Somebody called them intercooler vents. They don't really seem to line up with my intercooler, but anyway, one of them's missing. They are not the stock size anymore, so I need to find something else for that. Tires. The tires look fine, but when you take them off, you'll notice the rears are incredibly toe worn on the inside, so they need replaced. And the car needs aligned. I don't have that on here, but it needs aligned. When I was looking at the front of the car, I noticed the front CV boots are torn. There's CV axle grease all up inside the wheel well, so they need fixed. I probably just do all of the front axles, at least the boots. I haven't looked at how much it costs to get new axles or rebuild them. But anyway, we're gonna start with the boots. AFR, as I said earlier, I wanted to check that I was getting a valid AFR signal of the ECU. It is. I have a video about it, so yay. I wanted to check the spark plugs. When I checked them, spoiler alert for that video, they were not all gapped correctly, so I re-gapped them to 0.027 inches, and now the engine runs a lot better. So I feel like that was contributing to part of the problem, but eventually they're copper plugs right now, and eventually they're going to become iridium tipped plugs because I prefer those. So that's the list, or at least the list right now. I'm sure there'll be other stuff that I find. You'll notice replacing the turbo's not on here. That's a long-term goal. I just want to get this thing running and driving right. And if I replace the turbo kit, I will have to retune it. And when I retune it, I'm gonna have to go to like a Haltech 2500. So Haltech Elite 2500. So that is also significantly far in the future. I don't know how fast this build's gonna move. It's just gonna be about trying to do it right and trying to own a car I've always dreamed about owning. So that's the list, and please follow along with me as I get to bring this thing back from wherever it was to like a good driving car, and then we'll take it to the track and have some fun with it.